Live stream. I've been a bit quiet on the live streaming front recently, mainly because I'm at a stage where I'm running a lot of sounds on the new tracks I'm working on through my outboard, and it's a little bit complicated to try and use multiple sound cards. So I've just been focusing on getting that done, getting the vocals nice and warmed up, going through all my outboard gear. Well, I say all my outboard gear, the 3 pieces of outboard gear that I have down here. Which has been fun. I always enjoy it, although it's a bit time consuming. So today I'm just going to be working on this Love Is the Answer track, this kind of edit stroke remix, bit of a yacht rock kind of vibe. And I wanted to investigate some stuff. I've been doing some subtractive EQ on this track, and I'm going to carry on doing that if I have time. I've got 25 minutes on the timer, but I wanted to have a look at some techniques we can use for leveling things without necessarily having to compress, although I'm going to be compressing as well. I'm going to work on the flute part, and just show you how you can repurpose a tool that we use for vocals for any other lead instrument, really. Lead instruments, kind of can be treated in the same way as a vocal in many ways, because they do take over and play a top line melody. So that's the same as the function of a vocal, really, in a track. So let's flick across to Logic, and so this is the portion of the track we're going to work on, and this is the flute parts in question. So there it is. I'm just want to check, guys, that the stream is working. I had to update my my password on my computer. Yeah, it looks like we're good. Let me just get up. Okay, cool. So yeah, stop for a moment. It wasn't working. Anyway, cool. Let's crack on. So let's go to waves. We're going to try out using Vocal Rider first of all. Now, Vocal Rider is for vocals, funnily enough. But as I said, the flute in this track and this portion of the track is acting as if it's a top line melody. So I'm going to treat it the same way as you could do a vocal. So the way I like to use this, basically, so what it's doing is riding the level and keeping it nice and consistent. Now, this is a flute. We don't want to be too heavy-handed with it. It's a natural instrument, and we want to keep the natural vibe and feel of it. So we don't want to be too heavy-handed with processing. So what I like to do with this is set a range of about 2 dB either side. So it's not going to be jumping around crazy amount. It's basically only going to move 2 dB up or down. And I set the sensitivity about where it's kind of peaking. I might actually just do it a little bit more, just to get a little bit more movement there. Okay, try it without. So it's just helping it stay up front. It's helping it ride. Right, it's riding the level, and it's meaning I don't have to go in and do it myself. And like, this has got a massive sample in this track, so I don't know what I'm going to be able to do with it. The chances are it's going to be a free download. So as much as I would love to go through and meticulously level ride this whole flute part, you've got to be pragmatic about these things. I've got an album I'm trying to write, and my time is better spent working on that than it is kind of individually riding the level of flute. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be kind of pragmatic about it. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, just so you know, this was recorded with a guy on Fiverr, so I don't know how he's recorded it. It's a great flute part. I love it, but I don't know what he did to record it. He's probably not got access to lots of really nice outboard gear, I'm assuming. I didn't have that conversation with him, but ordinarily what I would do is run it through my preamps and my compressor down there. But as I said, I want to do this fast, really, and a bit more quick and dirty, and do it in software. So I'm going to recreate the same kind of vibe with, first of all, decapitating. Now, saturation, sorry, just once I would say hi to Tuco, who's joined. I hope you're good, mate. So saturation is also something which is going to help round off peaks and bring up the overall kind of RMS of the part in question. Now, the way I like to work with this is to actually dial it in so you can kind of hear it doing something, So not that. I actually really like this EMI. I think it's an EMI setting, E. And when you start to get that distortion, and then we can kind of dial it in alongside the original sound. Now we've got to be careful because, as I said at the beginning, we don't want to make this flute sound unnatural, and you want to keep that kind of the essence of the instrument. But let's see how it's sounding. Let's just focus on one little part of that. So you can hear how it's really front and center with that program processing in. It's much more in your face and sits on top of the music. And I really like this flute part. I think it's perfect for this part of the track. So now we could use compression if we wanted to. Now this is a preset I use all the time, and it's like a leveling preset. We could set the attack and release a little bit more naturally, but what we have is a very light ratio, about 1.1 to 1, and a very low threshold. And you'll see we'll get about 3 dB of gain reduction, and we've got a makeup gain of 3 dB. And what it does is basically gets right into the low level of the sound. It's not working on the peaks, it's working on the whole signal. It's basically squashing everything and then bringing it back up. So it's kind of just like an RMS squasher kind of technique. Now, it's an interesting one because it sounds fatter, which it would do, but does it lose a bit of the airy kind of bouncy quality of the instrument? Probably it does. Yeah, it's just keeping it really there, but I don't think I like it like that. So I'm going to take that off. But I think with these two effects in, we've got a nice balance of the instrument having that light kind of airy floaty quality to it, but also being nice and kind of in your face. in your face is the wrong word, but sitting on front of the music and really kind of shining, I suppose. Cool. Okay, so that was something I wanted to show you, and now I'm going to carry on and do some subtractive EQ. I'll do that. Let's actually do this like this. So I'll move this down. I'm just going to leave that decapitator at the top actually, because I'm going to treat it as if it's like kind of a channel strip fattening kind of vibe. I'm just going to do a little roll off on this flute. Now this is, as I said, a natural instrument. We don't want to be, doing crazy, being drastic low cuts. Doesn't need that. In fact, it arguably doesn't need any subtractive EQ at all, because this is an instrument that I really want to shine. Essentially, what's going on there? I really want this instrument to shine. So the more you want something to shine, the more it can have full frequency. Essentially. Okay, so let's have a look at the guitar next. So we've got some really cool kind of little guitar, kind of spacey guitar parts that come in here as well. I'm going to mix it up and use a low shelf for this. This is something I picked up from Mark from Stanton Warriors, who gave me some great tips on production, and he told me about not using low cuts, and I keep on forgetting and I always end up like force or habit. But he said, yeah, use low shelves and more natural. So. Yeah, let's stick with that. I always kind of lose the will to live a little bit when it comes to the effects and processing the effects. Kind of reach the end of the line and can't even bother to do anything. But let's just quickly do a little low cut on the effect here. Do a little high as well. So there's a crazy peak at really high up there. We don't necessarily need. Thanks for the little dancing guitarist guy, TK. Nice one. We've got to say as well, actually, just while I remember, I've got a new single coming out tomorrow. So it's coming out on the amazing Crack and Smacks label, Boogie Angst, which is really cool. So you can check it out. So it's on my SoundCloud here, and the premiere from House Salad. So you can check it out on there. If not, it's on YouTube as well. So make sure you go and check that out. It's on pre-order at the moment on TrackSource, but you can get it everywhere else from tomorrow. So it's kind of exciting. I've also got a brand new DJ mix up as well with Acid Stag. So yeah, you can check that out as well. That's on my SoundCloud too, as well as everywhere else. So let's carry on. Shameless plug. So do a little, what's this? This is another effect. So just in case there's any crazy crazy subs or something which slip through the net, which realistically isn't going to happen, but I like that effect. That's one I made with my Juno. We can just copy that across here as well. I actually really don't like this effect. I don't know why it's in there. It sounds a bit cheesy, so I might get rid of it. It's been annoying me for ages, that one. Yeah. I'm going to leave it at that part though. It's not cheesy there. I love the way the flute's just ever so slightly out of time in that section. Don't know why, it's just one of those imperfections that I think you can kind of, it becomes kind of a little bit kind of almost hooky when you have those little kind of weird imperfections in there. I don't know what is going on here. I've obviously bounced down the kick. Let's get rid of those. I'm not sure what they're all doing there. Cool. Okay. So subtractive EQ is done. Let's see if we can kind of do this a little bit. Let me see if I can quickly just bring in the subtractive EQ and bring it out again and see what it's adding to what's bringing to the table. That could have gone better. See if we can hear the difference. It should sound a bit more open, a bit more spacious, a bit more top down. It's a bit hard to tell because we've got we seem to have some linear phase stuff going on, which means it's jumping. But anyway. So imagine someone takes the track and they stretch it upwards in both directions. So the bass sinks down lower, the treble feels higher slightly. It's not night and day, but it's there. That's what I'm trying to achieve, and that's what I think I do achieve a little bit with this EQing. So a bit more boxed in, right camera, a bit more like that, yeah, and then just a bit bigger. It just opens out slightly. That's the idea, and I do think it does. Yep, sorry, just checking I've actually worked on everything. Cool, okay, so we're going to enhance this even more with the compression. So this is how I do we've got 9 minutes to work on here. So this is how I approach compression. I'm going to try and do this really quickly. So drum bus, send all the drums to a bus. Add in my favorite compressor, which is Pro C2. And try and find a setting for the drums. Tempo is 120. Okay, so 30 milliseconds attack. Let's start with that. Allows transients through. Hard knee means it's nice and responsive and snappy. Then the release time, we refer to Music Math, which is one of my favorite tools to use when producing. 120 beats per minute. And then we can set the release time to pump at musical value. So let's say we wanted it to be a 16th note. So every time the sound falls below the threshold, it's going to be returning to no compression at a 16th note value. Yeah, 120 milliseconds, 125 milliseconds is 1/16th note. Yeah, so okay, so that's too much compression. We're looking for about a dB. So the moment it's just responding to the kick. You can see it's going buh, buh, buh. There's nothing wrong with that, but if we switch on the EQ, now see it's kind of responding to the hat, it's responding to the kick. Okay, so let's use some makeup gain. Tell me if this grooves more. No compression. So it's hard to get the makeup gain just right, but so it's more flat without the compression. The drums are more flat. And suddenly the mix massively opens up. Now, if we had a fast attack, let's say 1 millisecond, we could actually push the drums back a little bit. forward, back and into place. Okay, let's put it to 10 milliseconds, yeah? So this is something in between. Or I said we can have 30, which is going to really bring the drums out. So flat. Front back perspective. Remember, volume affects our ability to perceive how far something away is or close to us, yeah? So compression manipulates that as well, so it can increase front back perspective because it works on volume. Let's try 62 milliseconds, which is a 30-second note. We're getting quite fast now, but let's see what that's like. I can actually bypass from here as well. That's really shaking the drums up and bringing them out. Let's try 250, which is an 8th note. That's quite nice, but I think I prefer the 16th note. And then we can use the EQ to determine what we're going to respond to. Is it going to be responding to the hat, just the kick? In fact, we can listen to what it's responding to. So it's kind of responding to the hats and the kick and the snare. So flat, enhanced front back depth. Okay, I kind of laboured that, but it's pretty important really. And what I then do is actually put this onto individual tracks. I put it on just a kick, just a snare, dial it in for each sound. So this is the kick. So what we're getting is unified compression on every single sound, which is coming from kind of different sound sources, yeah? So the snare is coming from one place, kicks coming from another place, percussion coming from a different place, but they're all going to have this unified pumping compression setting. Helps the track to groove more. Clap, crash, hat. Okay, clap. Okay, here's this loop. So we have to adjust thresholds and ratios to make sure we get a kind of even amount of compression, which is what I'm looking at with the gain reduction. See, we've got too much compression on the conga there. And if you find it's too much, depending on the different parts of the loop, so for example, you need to lighten the ratio up, because then it's going to be reducing the amount of compression. What you can also actually do, which is really useful, is use a range control on this compressor. So that means it can't actually go over a certain amount of compression, which is pretty useful as well. Okay, modern drums. So we could set it like that actually, and then use the amount to make sure that it doesn't go over where I want it to go. Okay, we've got a conga break, which plays later on. Oh, we got 1 minute. I might have to stop the timer. So flat. Kind of shakes it up. Love it. Shakes up the track. Really cool. So the percussion. So it helps gel things as well because they've all got the unified amount of compression and pumping amount set. Yeah, so it means that all the percussion, all the drums are going to be kind of coming from the same place essentially. Generative percussion comes in here. This is stuff that I got really into this a while back. So it's kind of like changes every single time it plays. This percussion is never the same. Just because of the way I've set it up. Every single time the track plays, until I bounce out the final version, this percussion will never be the same. Easy, crazy, crazy. Okay, so last shaker here. Because I just do this visually, really. I'm not listening too much because I've already decided on what the compressor is going to be doing in terms of the way it responds. I did it on the bus, remember? So I kind of did a quick and dirty compressor on the bus just to see what values stuck with the drums. Okay, cool. So that's all the drums compressed. Let's just bring it in and out. So what you've got to ask yourself is, do the drums kind of, yeah, and what I've actually got is 2 lots. I've got the compressor on the bus as well, still playing. So let's take that off. So you've got to ask yourself is, do the drums groove more and have more front back perspective with the compression in? And do they feel more unified and together? And I think probably each box is ticked there that I think all those things are achieved. So I kind of think of it as like it's almost like a head nod control, you know, that you bring the compressor in, it kind of makes your head want to nod more, and that's a good sign. And then we can kind of ally this with some different compression for some of the other sounds. So I'm just going to do the bass just quickly, and I'm going to finish up. So this is going to be more of like an averaging compressor. And then we can use the classic bass compressor, which is an LA2A, which I've got a clone of down here, and I've got a plug-in as well. And I'm going to be lazy. As I said, this is a quick mix down, just plugins, no outboard. So this is a really nice one for sitting the bass in a nice place. The bass more floppy, more kind of like unfocused. More focused, smaller, more dense, contained. Okay, cool. So that's it for this live stream. That's it for this track for today. This is how I work. Do 25 minutes on multiple tracks. Never do long sessions, or try and avoid ever doing long sessions on a track unless I really need to. compression 1. And yeah, so just never try and go down those rabbit holes on tracks. Just like keep it interesting, keep on flicking between lots of ideas. And the idea is at the end, you get, 10 tracks finished in the time you might have agonized over 2 tracks. That's kind of the thinking behind it. So I'm really trying to stick to that and do 3 sessions a day on 3 different tracks. That's kind of my work flow. I'm going to do one more session today if I have time. But I'm going to be running vocals through my outboard. So that's not something I can do on a live stream because I can't use the multiple sound cards at the same time. So maybe I'll do a video of the actual results because this is about maybe £800 worth of hardware, and maybe do a video on what you get for £800. So guys, I hope that was useful, and please check out the new single that's coming out tomorrow. Love Taught Me, out on Crack and Smack's label Boogie Angst. And you can hear me using a lot of these techniques that I'm showing you in the mix sound of that track. So make sure it's on. It's going to be on all the streaming platforms tomorrow. It's on Tracksource at the moment. You can check it out on SoundCloud and all the usual places. I've also got some videos on YouTube. Where I'm discussing some of the techniques I used in the production of that track. Maybe I'll link them in the description of this video. But if you just check out the Get to Know YouTube page as well, you'll see I'm on there with some videos on some of the techniques I used in the track as well. So I'm trying to share my creative process as much as I can, and technical process as well, so you can kind of learn from what I'm doing, hopefully. All right, guys, have a great night, and thank you for being with me this afternoon. Cheers.